Hello and welcome to Odds on La Liga Matchday 13. Spain qualified for the World Cup and we are back in La Liga, Alvaro, with so many news because we left Real Madrid kind of in crisis. I wouldn't say because of the results, although they didn't score in the last two games, but because of the atmosphere. It looks like something is broken between the dressing room and Xabi Alonso, and this is very dangerous.
It is very dangerous. Hello, Edu. How are you? Of course, I don't have any inside information about this because I'm not a Real Madrid reporter, but some quite reliable media outlets have published that some players are not happy with the methods of Xabi Alonso, with how much attention he put into detail. Some players want more freedom, and apparently those players who want more freedom are, by the way, some of the most important players in the locker room. But anyway, Real Madrid's start of the season has been very good, I will say, in terms of results. There is no drama in drawing with Rayo Vallecano, but if for whatever the reason the mood is not the best, one draw can be digested in a different way than in the mood is good in the camp. So, a combination of factors have mixed up here together. So I think that the international break has been probably a very good palate cleanser, as they say, for Real Madrid players. Now they are back. They're still topping the table. Barcelona is not too far, only 3 points away. And Atlético de Madrid and Villarreal are in a great form as well. So I think that one of the novelties of this season is that the four teams at the top are looking really quick grabbing the points to the point that at home they have been so good that in the last 5 games at home for Barcelona, Villarreal, Real Madrid, and Atlético de Madrid, which is 20 games, so 5 games for four teams, in 20 games they have collected 58 points at home. So 58 out of 60. That tells you that, they are not making prisoners at home. And Barcelona plays at home this weekend, and Villarreal too. So maybe they have a chance over there to put some pressure on Real Madrid.
Barcelona back to the Camp Nou, by the way, for the
Yeah.
very first time in a couple of years. We will talk about everything in this show. Remember, guys, of course, to tell me your tips for these games. And of course, if you enjoy our videos, just press the like, subscribe. Let's go on now with the show. And we start on Friday with a derby in Valencia. Back this Valencian derby with Levante in Primera División. Valencia, Levante, and both teams now playing to avoid relegation. Levante penultimate in the standings. Valencia level on points with Girona in the bottom three. They grab a draw with Betis, a positive draw, I would say, because before that was 4 defeats and 1 draw, so no win since the 20th of September. Levante usually are better away than at home. Alvaro, only 1 point in the last 4 La Liga games, though.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, it's good that La Liga starts with a derby because this is a city derby of Valencia and it's a nice one. Both Valencia and Levante are enduring a difficult season. With Levante was predictable. With Valencia wasn't that much. Some will say it was, but I do believe that the way Valencia finished the league last season kind of prepared them to do well this season, but it hasn't happened. And Valencia has 1 more point at Levante, but their goal difference is worse. So in practical terms, they've been as bad. They have shown a similar level, with the difference that Levante is just back in La Liga, and with the difference that Levante perhaps is more dependent in one player alone, like 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏, who has had like 9 goal contributions, whereas Valencia is not that dependent on one footballer. We're still waiting for perhaps 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏 to start shining and be the player who was at Villarreal 4 years ago. But this is gonna be very important for Valencia. They cannot lose this game. By the way, Mestalla, despite the bad results, is still showing really good form in the sense, or a really good outlook in the sense that the attendances have been great. I mean, Mestalla is the second ground with a bigger attendance in La Liga so far, or in terms of percentage of seats filled. And this game is going to be big in the city. And the truth is that if you look at the precedents, Levante has never been able to beat Valencia at Mestalla in La Liga. Never, ever, ever, ever. 16 league games in Mestalla, 1-6, and no wins for Levante. So that's why I'm gonna take history with my right hand, and I will say that an Asian handicap minus 0.25 for Valencia can be a good one, because Valencia, at the end of the day, is the big team of the city. So Asian handicap minus 0.25 for Valencia, 182. If they draw, you suffer half a lose. If they win, you win.
Next one is Alavés Celta de Vigo. We left Celta in really good shape before the international break, but they lost to Barcelona. They had a good first half, but probably they were very tired to compete after playing Thursday, Sunday, and they lost to Barcelona. Before that, 5 consecutive wins in all competitions, and they are coming to Vitoria as the underdog. Alavés, Álvaro, in the middle of the table, defeat against Girona, but it's another team when they are playing at home where they get really decent results.
Yes, of course. Alavés has collected 11 points at home out of 18 possible points, which is a very good turnout, I would say. But on the other hand, I cannot forget Celta's good run either. I mean, Celta away from home is not a bad team. It's not a bad team. But overall, they've been climbing on the table to the point that Alavés and Celta, they are almost, same points. Alavés has 15 so far, Celta 13, but Celta is showing an improvement despite, as you said, the loss they suffer literally before the international break. Let's don't forget as well that Celta is playing 2 competitions, but Celta has scoring power that I am sure that they can somehow translate into goals at Alavés ground, but Alavés has been so reliable at Mendizorroza over the years that this game for me is a difficult one. I'm gonna say that this is a pass from all the games in La Liga this weekend, but there is something that you have to take into consideration. Perhaps Celta to score over 0.5 goals or Celta to score over 1.5 goals can be interesting, considering that Celta has scored in 16 of their 17 games this season. Only one game they were scoreless. So as you can see, the likes of Borja Iglesias, 𝐻𝐿𝐴, and many more academy players, they are delivering in front of goal. So this is a possibility. But this game for me is a pass.
Okay, next one, Barcelona Athletic Club is an important day for all Barcelona fans because they are back to the Camp Nou. It's not the whole stadium ready. Actually, they are not going to give away any tickets to Athletic. And Álvaro, the cheapest ticket to go to this game is 200 euros. So still not 100% ready, but for sure is good news for Barcelona. Everything I would say is good news at this stage for Barcelona because we saw Lewandowski scoring a hat-trick, back on track against Celta. Lamine Yamal rested with a lot of controversy, but he didn't go with Spain. Rafinha could be back for this game. Now the gap with Real Madrid is 3 points, and they are hosting Athletic, a team that is not working at all this season. They beat Oviedo. It was a key win with a beautiful goal scored by Nico Williams, but still, Álvaro, this team is not playing well this season, depending on Nico, and Nico has a lot of physical problems, so should be an easy win for Barcelona, I guess.
Look, I think that Barcelona is the favorite, clearly. To start with, Athletic de Bilbao has been really poor at Camp Nou in the league, or at Barcelona ground, wherever Barcelona played, over the last years. Athletic de Bilbao hasn't beaten Barcelona at the Camp Nou since 2002, with goals from 𝗵𝗫𝗫𝗀 and Urzaiz. Not because I remember this, but because I've done this research. So, normally Athletic is not good there. It's true that Barcelona, look, they're improving, but on the other hand, they are missing 2 key players. So basically, Barcelona right now has an engine based on Pedri and Frenkie de Jong, and Pedri is still injured, and Frenkie de Jong picked a red card in the game against Celta. So who is going to play in midfield? Casado, obviously, who, by the way, wasn't involved in international duty with the senior team. And who knows who is going to be the other one? I think Hansi Flick doesn't want to use Bernal yet. Remember, in September or in August 2024, he suffered an ACL injury and he's still not ready to play 90 minutes. And against Celta, in the second half, Dani Olmo and Fermín, but especially Dani Olmo, played as a midfielder too, just to help Frenkie de Jong. So there is a chance that we'll see a very different midfield line in Barcelona to play against Athletic de Bilbao. Rafinha, you mentioned him. He is training. He's not ready to play 90 minutes. No way. I don't think that he will start. And then Lewandowski, it's a player that we should look at for this game. Him to score 235. He has scored 7 goals in the league. A hat-trick against Celta, by the way. Only Di Stefano, Joaquin, and Jorge Molina have scored a hat-trick in the league, being older than Lewandowski is. But Lewandowski scoring when he plays is a very good bet. But I go back to my initial point at the start of the show. Barcelona, Villarreal, Real Madrid, Atletico, they've been really good at home. Barcelona has collected 5 wins out of 5 in the league. I guess that there will be a little bit of pressure because they are back in the Spotify Camp Nou. If they turn the pressure into a positive willingness, Barcelona is going to win this game. So Barcelona to win 148. Asian handicap minus 1.5 for Barcelona. So Barcelona winning by 2 goals, 220. And Lewandowski to score 235. So these are my bets. These are my picks for this game. One, because Athletic de Bilbao is suffering to juggle between competitions, even though Ernesto Valverde is prioritizing La Liga. Number 2, because Athletic de Bilbao at Camp Nou has been really poor over the last 23 years. And number 3, sorry, because the team is very dependent on Nico Williams. And Nico Williams, who, by the way, had a proper summer with Barcelona, plenty of rumors, then he signed for Athletic de Bilbao, a contract extension. Nico Williams is not 100% ready, even though he scored a beauty against Oviedo before the international break. So, I don't think that there are reasons to back Athletic de Bilbao coming into this game. By the way, I'm very curious about the reception that Nico Williams is going to get, because some Barcelona fans, probably the youngest, they hate Nico Williams for not signing for Barcelona. Probably he's going to get booed and all that. But anyway, I think that Barcelona is going to win it despite not having De Jong and Pedri.
Hopefully, Lamine and Nico, with the same injury, they can be back on track this season. We really need them in La Liga. Osasuna Real Sociedad is the next game. Real Sociedad improving in recent days with the draw against Elche, wins against Athletic in the derby, and Sevilla. We saw 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗏 signing with Spain. I guess the 𝗀𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗏 fans are also hoping to see 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 scoring for Real Sociedad. And Osasuna only 1 point more than the relegation, because away from home they are dreadful, but they get the points when they are playing in Pamplona.
Yeah, this is one of these regional contested football games, and I think that is going to be one of those probably that will be decided in details, and probably, as they say, there will be more perspiration than inspiration. This is a line that English commentators use a lot. So I think that is going to be one of these games. You mentioned Real Sociedad improving. It's true. They're improving, because if you have the likes of Bryce Méndez, Carlos Soler, Mikel Oyarzabal, Gonzalo Guedes, Kubo, Barrenechea, many of them are inconsistent, but when they play well, they are good players. If you have these footballers, at the end, they are going to give you points. And I think that this is what's happening with Real Sociedad. Are they ready to go the extra mile and be ready to fight for the Conference League? I think that it's not too late for them. And they are playing only one competition, and they've got good footballers. And Oyarzabal, by the way, he's going through his best ever scoring year. He's been really good, especially for Spain. And if a team has a player like Oyarzabal, then is closer to victory, especially in this kind of encounters, than if you don't. Osasuna is very reliant in one striker, Ante Budimir. The rest of the footballers are not contributing a lot with goals, the likes of Oroz, Moncayola as well, and this has costed Osasuna a little bit. But yeah, coming into this game, look, there is one that comes to my mind straight away, which is considering Real Sociedad's good moment and that Osasuna could do with a draw 320 could be a very logical outcome here. Otherwise, maybe I lean towards Real Sociedad a little bit with an Asian handicap plus 0.25, just based on momentum, meaning that if they draw, you get half a win, and if they win, you win. An Asian handicap plus 0.25 for Real Sociedad will be 168, but the draw 320 is a risk worth taking, I would say.
On Saturday, we have Villarreal Mallorca. You mentioned in the intro how safe is back in the top four when they are playing at home. Villarreal doing great in La Liga, only 2 points less than Barcelona. They beat Espanyol away after the ugly defeat in the Champions League against Pafos, and Mallorca got a key win against Getafe. A controversial one. Bordalas was very angry. They are only 2 points above relegation. Thanks to that win, Alvaro, they are out of the bottom three.
Yeah, they are out of the bottom three. Of course, this can only be good for them. Mallorca is on a decent run, actually. 7 points out of 12. I mean, with a run like this, you clearly eject yourself from the bottom. Somehow they have corrected a very bad trajectory. Beating Getafe before the international break was something that we shouldn't forget. It's quite impressive. I really thought that Getafe was going to get something out of that game. I was wrong. And, like Osasuna with Budimir, Mallorca is very dependent on one footballer, 𝗵𝗏𝗏. Probably Mallorca is more dependent on 𝗵𝗏𝗏, actually, than Osasuna on Budimir. 𝗵𝗏𝗏 has scored half the goals of Mallorca. But one thing is your individual run, and another thing is to put it in front of your opponent. And Villarreal is in a great trajectory as well, especially at home. Let's forget about the Champions League. Their away form is so-so, but Villarreal has been really reliable at home, and on top of that, I want to mention their defensive record. Villarreal's defensive record is the best altogether with Real Madrid's, which is something that we shouldn't forget. And their goal difference is pretty good, plus 12, meaning that when they have lost, they haven't lost for a big margin, and normally they grind out the wins. At home, they got 16 points, and I would like to mention Gerard Moreno, because at this stage of his career, Gerard Moreno, 32, 33 years old perhaps, you could think that he was not going to be important in this Villarreal. But over the last 4 or 5 windows, Villarreal has changed their squad from a technical one to a physical one, very physical. That's why Gerard Moreno is so important, because him, especially him, and Ayoce Perez as well, are the light, are the creative outlet, and they are becoming more unique in this team. So, I never thought that Gerard Moreno was going to show this level at this stage, but he is. And he's a terrific footballer. The only problem is that he cannot play 3-4 games in a row without picking an injury. But anyway, I think Villarreal is going to be the favorite because at home they've been very good. And Villarreal to win will be 148. I'm going to keep that one for my Yacas, but I'm going to go for an Asian handicap -1 for Villarreal. 173. If they win by 1 goal, you get your money back. If they win by 2 goals, you win your full stake.
For Sunday, we have Oviedo, Rayo Vallecano. Rayo being the favorites because it's so difficult to trust. Oviedo, bottom of the table with 8 points. They drew at home in the last game against Osasuna, lost to Athletic after that. And Rayo, as we mentioned at the beginning, stopped Real Madrid, a really good team. Alvaro, usually even doing better away from home than at home.
Yeah, definitely. This is one of these games in which I believe that Rayo Vallecano has, more quality, better players, a more established system, a better manager than Real Oviedo, And yet, I'm not too ready to go for the full-time market because Rayo Vallecano is playing a lot of games. And if you check the standings, you will see that Rayo has lost 5 games already. The season they're having is okay. It's more than okay. But they haven't been like super reliable when they were the favorites in this league. But on the other hand, they're playing against Oviedo. They are bottom of the table. And Oviedo is conceding a lot of shots, conceding a lot of goals. And then up front, they don't make a difference. Only one player, Rondon, has scored more than 1 goal for Oviedo this season. And Rondon has scored only 2. So there is nothing to be cheerful about in there. Cazorla could return for this game. I think that we need the Cazorla moment. We haven't had it in La Liga so far. One moment in which Cazorla scores a decisive goal or he has a super game. But that Cazorla moment will be coming at some point. Maybe, who knows? This Sunday, even though it's a little bit too early because he had an injury. But yeah, for this game, look, the most intelligent thing for me, in my opinion, will be to go for the individual market and to go for Aaron Escandel, the goalkeeper of Oviedo, to do 3 or more saves, for example, something like that. Because Rayo is a decent attacking side, and because Oviedo concedes a lot, and Escandel has to do plenty of saves this season. So that would be my individual bet. I don't know what the value for that is going to be, but as the game approaches, we will see it in the betting houses. Otherwise, for this game, I could go for over 2 goals, 168, considering that Oviedo concedes a lot, to the point that Oviedo has conceded an outstanding 20 goals already. 20 goals in late November. That could be my bet.
Next game is Betis Girona. Girona still in relegation spots despite the key win before the international break against Alavés. They've improved. They are competing much better. And Betis in European spots despite the draw in Valencia before the break, having a good run overall. So it's difficult not to trust them. The odds are so, though, to back Betis here.
They are, but I'm gonna back them. I'm gonna back them with an Asian handicap -1. I think that Betis is capable of winning this game. If they won it 1-0, 2-1, and you went for an Asian handicap -1, you wouldn't be too unhappy. You just got your money back. But if they won by 2 goals, which I believe that they can, you will get 198. Asian handicap -1 for Betis will be my bet. It's true that Girona sometimes has surprised us. For example, they went to San Mamés, Athletic Bilbao ground, and they got a draw, 1-1, against a team of a similar quality to Betis, really. But on the other hand, you have to check the trajectories, and Betis this season looks strong. I mean, they got 20 points already, which is good. They are a bit far from the Champions League, but I have spoken about how reliable at home the top 4 has been. But anyway, Betis having 20 points is a good thing in general. I mean, this is the Pellegrini average, more or less, at this stage of the season with Betis. Normally, he's hitting 20, 22, 19 points, so they are up to their standards. Basically, 𝗲𝗏𝗀 is going to come back for this game. I don't think so, but he will be soon returning. And in the meantime, the likes of Lo Celso, Fornals, who was capped by Luis de la Fuente, Anthony, of course, they are playing really well. So, I'm going to back Betis here. It's true that Girona beat Alavés in the last game, but Girona, on the other hand, hasn't won away. Away from home, they haven't been, obviously, reliable at all, and Betis has been quite reliable at home. So, Betis to win 157, yes. Asian handicap -1 for Betis, 198. Of course, I will take it. I will take that one.
Next one is Getafe Atlético de Madrid. This is a derby in the capital. Usually it's one-sided. Atlético de Madrid used to win always against Getafe, but last season was a surprise. Getafe won, and Getafe doing a great season. I was mentioning before that they lost to Mallorca, and Bordalás was very angry with the referee, but now I guess Alvaro is almost all about Atlético Madrid. Looks like this moment of the season where they are getting results. They beat Sevilla, Levante, and Betis. But it's always this caveat, no? That how they are gonna perform away from home.
Yeah. So basically, all this momentum that Atlético de Madrid has been building has based on the home form. That's true. I mean, Atlético de Madrid is the best team at home in the league, but in a hypothetical away table, Atlético de Madrid would be 10th, which is not great for a team that, who knows, could try to win the league. It's true that Atlético has improved, that Julián Álvarez is delivering this season, that Antoine Griezmann, little by little, is finding his form. I also believe that Pablo Barrios is showing many good things that don't go overlooked by the Spanish national side. There are positives in Atlético de Madrid, for sure, but they are tremendously reliant on playing at home. And that has to be said. At home, they beat Real Madrid. At home, they beat Frankfurt in the Champions League, I believe. So they have won difficult games at home. Away from home, they have struggled. And Getafe is not the kind of place where you want to go. And so that Getafe will present a difficult game to Atlético de Madrid, even though one thing has to be said. Historically, from 2011, late 2011 until 2025, Simeone's record against Getafe has been terrific, phenomenal, top notch. Even though last season, as you said, Atletico de Madrid, I think, had lost the league definitely when they suffered a defeat against Getafe at Coliseum. That has to be said as well. So Atletico knows that they cannot slack off at Getafe's ground. They have been warned because last season in spring they lost here. I am not ready to commit to the full-time market, not at all, because I'm thinking too much about what happened to Atletico last season here. But however, there is one individual market that I love, because Julián Álvarez is scoring goals. And Julián Álvarez to score 275, considering that he's definitely the more reliable player of Atlético de Madrid at home. And he's also taking the set pieces. And he's a very good free kick taker, the best free kick taker in La Liga, probably. That points me in the direction of the Argentinian striker. Julián Álvarez to score 275. Of course, check the lineup. Let's see if he plays, but I guess that he will.
And then we have the leaders, Real Madrid visiting Elche. Of course, they should win here, a newly promoted team, but be careful. Elche are doing good things this season, playing well, even against Barcelona. They had so many chances, and Real Madrid, with the doubts that we mentioned before, not scoring in the last two games. 𝐻𝐿𝐴, Militao got injured during the international break. We saw Bellingham angry when he was changed by Tuchel, and Bellingham is one of the men that have been pointed for creating this bad mood in the Real Madrid dressing room. So it looks like something is getting out of control here, and it's early days. But when we heard these rumors, Alvaro, is not good usually for the manager in Real Madrid.
No, I mean, what worries me about the rumors is the fact that they've been aired by very reliable sources. I mean, The Athletic has been one of the sources who have been talking about that. These people normally they check the information, they have good sources, they check their sources. So, I'm sure that some of this information carries a certain weight and certain truth. Okay? But anyway, they also, I remember perfectly, Edu, and you will remember this better than I do because you are a Real Madrid fan. In 1998, when Real Madrid won La Séptima, the seventh European Cup, the mood in the camp was very bad. And 𝗀𝗵𝗂𝐿 lost the dressing room, apparently. And he was talking to the president at the time, Lorenzo Sanz, about that and how difficult he was finding it. And he won the Champions League. So sometimes these big teams, they know how to self-administer themselves. Didn't happen with Benitez, for example, but it happened with 𝗵𝗂𝐻𝐿𝐴. So sometimes it's about waiting as well and see how the players can cope. And maybe the players don't agree with everything the manager tells them, but you end up coexisting together. This is an option for Real Madrid as well. This can happen, and we have seen Real Madrid sometimes kind of excelling despite their manager or despite not having a great mood in the camp. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. Of course, with a player like 𝗵𝗵𝗏, everything is easier. I know that against Rayo Vallecano or against Liverpool he didn't score, but he's the top scorer of La Liga. But yeah, for me, the biggest problem of Real Madrid is that they don't have a creative midfielder. They've got one prolific goal scorer, the best goalkeeper I have ever seen, 𝗻𝗵𝗏𝗀𝗏, and a central defender like Eder Militao. But then the creativity is not there, and sometimes the teams suffers a little bit. Liverpool played with a little bit of a deep center back line with Van Dijk and Konaté, and Real Madrid couldn't find the spaces, for example. So that's something that even if Xabi Alonso wants to work around it, if you don't have that player, and I don't think that 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 can consistently be the creative midfielder, if you don't have that player, things are going to be a little bit more difficult. But this game in particular is a funny one because Elche is not going to plant a low block, even though if the opponent obliges them, they will have to, against their will. I remember perfectly Elche against Atlético de Madrid in August, playing, front foot football in the first half, and then in the second half, Atlético was attacking so much that Elche ended up defending in their box. But Elche's game plan, on paper, is gonna be the same game plan they had against Barcelona. They will attack, and they will try to find the strikers as soon as possible. We have to say as well that their strikers have responded very well. Rafa Mir and Andrés Silva have scored 4 goals each. So they are dangerous. Elche can play with the 4-4-2. I don't know if Real Madrid is good coping with a system like this, with 2 central strikers in their box. And I think that Real Madrid could win this game, yes. But on the other hand, I think that at the start of the game, Elche is going to surprise them. And Elche is going to play like they did against Barcelona, creating many chances. And probably Elche will show more hunger at the start. So I'm going to go for something that could be slightly speculative, but I love the odds here. Elche to take the first corner of the game, 263. I think that Elche is going to start the game hungry and going for Real Madrid. Then whatever happens will happen. But at the start, Elche is going to be on the front foot.
Well, let's see if Xabi Alonso is able to turn the boat in the right direction. And for Monday, we have Espanyol Sevilla, good game. Actually, with Sevilla getting a key win before the break against Osasuna. Before that, they lost 3 in a row. Espanyol doing a great season, even if they've lost the last 2 games. This one is a tough one to call, in my opinion.
It's tough one, yeah. I'm going to go for the over market, over 2 goals, which pays 162. But anyway, this is the kind of game that personally I give a tip now, but I wouldn't put my money in it. A little bit like with the game at Mendizorroza, Alavés ground, because for a number of reasons. Because Sevilla is a bit weird. Look at them in the standings. I mean, Sevilla has lost 6 games, which is a lot. Mallorca, Valencia, Girona, we have been critical with them, right? They have lost as many games as Sevilla. But then the difference is that Sevilla has won 5. Sevilla is a little bit of an all-or-nothing team. Some degree is logical, because they got a new manager, and the new manager is quite audacious and brave, and this can happen. One day you end up winning, another day you end up losing because you have taken risks. So with Sevilla, it's difficult. It's difficult to bet. But on the other hand, look, this all-or-nothing policy is kind of working for them, because they are only 1 point away from the Conference League, and qualifying for Europe is one of the targets for Sevilla. And Espanyol then at home has been good, obviously. And Sevilla away has been good as well. Sevilla away got 9 points. Espanyol at home has been reliable. And Espanyol, I think that they are going to stay in La Liga. They are going to be probably regarded and praised at the end of the season for their reliability. But yeah, coming into this game, over 2 goals, 162 is something that I could go for. Also keep in mind, by the way, that 4 center backs in Sevilla are sustaining different physical issues. 4 center backs. So can be a chance that Sevilla plays with a lesser center back duo in this game, which will help Espanyol, obviously. But there is still time until Monday to recover a few players as well. So, this game over 2 goals, 162. Otherwise, just forget it.
This is it, Alvaro, in the comeback in La Liga. I wouldn't say I was looking forward to it because this international break was so exciting, seeing Ireland or
Scotland!
Scotland, yeah, the Tantam Army scoring late goals in Curaçao, going to the World Cup, for instance. So it has been exciting even for Spain, kind of a good international break. So guys, remember, we have the chance to make some money thanks to Oddspedia. It's completely for free to participate in the tipster competitions, and you can win some cash money, the same for Rivals, where you can create your own tipster competition. I'm sure, Alvaro, we are going to have one for the World Cup next year. And now let's go with your safe bet.
Barcelona to win, 148.
And the ACCA?
Betis to win, Villarreal to win, Barcelona to win. Altogether 343.
Thank you, Alvaro. See you next week. Bye-bye.